Moving on. So we now have our glued up baffle board, or chassis if you want to call it. There's some filler work I've done. This all needs cleaning up, painting or whatever, but that's down to the individual that is going to end up with these. So what I did, I don't know whether I covered this before, centralised this 15 inch eminence. You can do that by lifting it up and just with your fingers aligning the fibre with the hole all the way around. I don't know if you can see, but down there I've already pre-drilled the locations. Yeah, it's fine. So I'm now going to go and put these screws in. These screws are, I think they're 25mm long, 6s or 8s I think, Phillips. And the reason they're 25mm long is this is 24mm MDF. So by the time you've got your drive unit on, put the screw in, you've got about 12mm bite into the material itself, the wood. So I'm going to put the first one in loosely. Just align my pilot holes that I did previously, approximately. There we go. I've got one of these whizzers. You can do it by hand. I mean, you could put a washer under the head of that. I haven't bothered. It seems to bite perfectly well. So there's the first one, just to nip it into place. I'm going to put another one at the other end. Just like that. And they're just going to double check that it's central. I'll do that by, I can feel left and right, top and bottom. Pretty good to me. He's coming this way just a touch. That's it. So it's a matter of working by the bench. So this is 104mm, that cutout for this particular drive, and it just neatly, snugly fits into there. It's not actually touching like that, and I just want to line up everything square and true, just like that. And just make a little mark just to see where we're at. So I'm going to square that off. So that's our datum there. So somewhere along there, and somewhere across there. For the objects of the exercise, I just want to drill some pilot holes. Just mark there, mark there, mark there. Actually, that's not quite right, is it? Let's do that again. So my datum is there. There, 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 like that. get these holes lined up. Whoops, too far. So we've got a hole there, pilot hole there, pilot hole there, pilot hole there. So I'm just going to drill some pilot holes and get this installed. Moving on, let's run by these drive units and the crossover. So I make no apology for running over this again. FR13 no longer available, unfortunately. Positive, negative. There's this on the back is an additional magnet, for those that don't know, which you can pull off like that. Without this magnet, I think it's 82 dB, something like that. Go and look at the spec sheets. I'll put some links in the bottom. It's a little bit fiddly to get on because of the strength, but we got some little locators so you can centralise the magnet. You've got to get that dead right. There's probably a knack to it. I haven't got it yet because I don't play with it often enough. There you go. There. No, it's not. Bear with me. It's a right fiddly thing to do. Ooh, I wish I hadn't taken it off now. There you go. So it just sits inside these little plastic upstands, and that magnet takes it from 82 without to 85 dB sensitivity with. These are detachable if you so wish. You can solder directly on there or solder on here, and that is a nice snug tight fit on there like that. Very nice unit. Bit of dust on it now. So unfortunately that's not available now, so the replacement is this one. Same deal again, there's a magnet, detachable, pulls off the back. Slightly different location method on here. The Plavia 7A Generation 2 full range driver. And we now have 5 fixings as opposed to the 4, and they've reduced the thickness of this basket front. With the FR13 you've got this, I really don't know what it's for, but it just clips on the front. Pass, there'll be something, there's a radius on the inside of here. There's a radius on the inside of there which probably helps baffle step and one thing or another. There's no such radius on here. But on this one, I don't know whether you'll be able to see it, probably not. Just inside there, there's a positive, and just on inside the other side there was a negative, so that's the positive, that's the negative. Might just be able to see it there. So that's the positive, that's the negative, and 5 fixings. So moving along, the crossover, as a word of note, just to let you know, this is the second attempt at doing this. The first attempt, the battery kept going flat. I know not why. Very frustrating. So I give up on that because it was so fragmented. We're going to give this a go. So here is the crossover. 9 millihenry iron core inductor, 68 microfarad capacitor. I think this is 250 volts. that drives the Eminence 15. That's exactly as Martin King's design, no need to worry about that. In the full range Mark audio, if you've got an Alper 7, use it. If not, you'll have to buy the Plavia 7, this one here. And in this one you got 40 microfarad, 2.4 millihenry air core inductor, and an attenuation L pad here. This is a bit flexible. I'll cover that in a second. Don't know whether that's still, yeah, just about to see it. There you go. So, unfortunately, in the previous video, I built this up on camera, and the camera was switching on, switching off, switching on, switching off because of the battery situation. So let me just run you through this, just to highlight it. 9 millihenry. Here's a 9 millihenry inductor. 9 millihenry. So we're positive red. We come in here, up here, we go round and round and round through the inductor, and we come out there, down here, and then we go into one side of this 68 microfarad capacitor. So we go in one side and we go straight down to negative or to ground. So it's here. So that's that side dealt with straight away. The full range is a little bit more complex, not difficult, but a little bit more complex. But if I can run you through this. So we're coming in here. So I've linked the input across here to here. So here's our input to the full range unit. We're going to go through this 40 microfarad capacitor, which is made up of 4 10s. We come out here and go to ground through this here. So we go in here, go across, we connect into here, we go into one side of this, out the other side to here, to ground, and that goes directly to ground. However, I've found that this, without that is a bit too lively or too much volume. So in effect we're going to attenuate it with an L pad. It's called an L pad. And we're going to start off, if you can see, 1.2, and this one, if you can see that, 5.6, 10 watts, and these are Mundorf, as is this is a Mundorf, quality components. If you can afford it, go for it. So the 1.2, here we go, here's the input, we go through this 1.2 to here, and then we go down to ground by this 1.6, and that attenuates the output of this drive unit. I think it's about 8 or 9 dB. It's quite a drop, something like that. It might, I haven't done the exact calculation. I did it in Basta and it seemed to work, but to my ears this was okay. Here's your return earth, or the bar all the way goes down to there. So our speaker terminals in effect will be connected on here by flying leads. Input ground, that is our output here to our, that is there, that bit there, that's going to go to the positive end of the base unit, and I'll probably have a flying lead, sorry not this camera, a flying lead off here to the negative of the base unit. And here we got high frequency out to the Mark audio, and here will be the return, or anywhere along here, there or there, but we'll see. So that's a crossover that you can use. Now what I found is if you adjust this, you can adjust the output of this. So I'm going to suggest 4 variants if you wish. Leave that at 5, or actually you can go from 4.7 to 5.6, somewhere in that region. And this one you can go from 1 ohm up to 2 ohm, so 1R2, 1 ohm, 1R2, 1R5, 1R8 or 2, and the higher you go the louder this gets. 1.8 or 1.5 seems to be good, and a 1.8 seems to be good if you want a little bit more sparkle in the top end, a little bit more up front, but that is up for experimentation. The easiest way to do it is to buy 3 cement sandcast type of cheap resistors, 4 of them, terminal block here, and just a jumper from there to there, and you can actually, whilst on the fly, you can just jumper between each resistor. That's what I did, and I ended up, in my listening environment in my room, that was what I liked. But you might like something different, and that's the beauty of this DIY. Have a play. So that's I'll see if I can cobble together some previous footage of me soldering this up and putting it together. So a little bit of promotion, if you like. The Alpar Mark audio speakers in the UK, I use KJF audio components. He does all sorts of nice things on his website. Go and have a look. There it is. These polypropylenes I got from a company local to me, Blue Aaron. They, again, would appear to do lots and lots of stuff, but these are about £3 each. Very good. They didn't do a 2.4 millihenry air cord, and I got that from, I think it was Sound Imports. I can't recall now. It might have been Falcon Acoustics. Now, I'm not knocking Falcon too much, but they seem to take a long time to ship out your products. Or in my case, maybe not in yours. I ordered some capacitors and a couple of these some weeks ago. I still haven't arrived. Not that it matters. Other company in the UK, Hi-Fi Collective, they seem to do a lot, but a lot of it is on lead times, 8 weeks, 16 weeks, 10 weeks. One of the better ones for me that I've used are soundimports.eu. They have a selection of Mundorf quality components. They do the Dayton audio. That's where I got this from. Part number is, if you can see that, put it in there. There you go. That's one of those, and they have quite a selection of products. And there's the MCAP, Mundorf MCAP. That's this. And they do all sorts of terminals. I haven't bothered because I'm cheap and cheerful, but I just hardwire solder directly to wherever. Out of interest, these little brass things, which I use, rather than buy the proper terminals, you can buy a bag of these. These are picture hangers, do you know what I mean? You screw that on the back of your picture and you can screw it to the wall. I'll turn this round like that. You screw it to your picture like that, or like that, and you screw it to the wall. Well, in actual fact, I'll just do this. If you put it in a little vise, bend it through 90 degrees, you have a perfect little bracket that you can super glue on here on a bit of board. This is just a bit of 10mm ply, and I just super glue it on with a bit of good quality. This is Worth. Does that focus? There you go. Leave it for 10 minutes and you come back and you can wire it up. I've used 1.5mm enamelled copper wire as my jumpers, in effect, to make up my circuit. I clean off the enamel with a blade, with a craft knife blade, So you just go along and rotate it and take off any excess, and you can solder directly and make up, in effect, a cheap and cheerful circuit board. If you want, you can go and buy a pre-made circuit board, a typical, if you like, and jump your circuits from that. Again, they're available, I do believe, from Falcon Acoustics and other places, eBay and God knows what else, and they're quite cheap. So that's the crossover thus far. So moving on, we've covered the crossover. I'm now going to mount it on this leg, and you'll note both of my legs are all got sort of wings, both of them. They're cut short here because of the full range driver that's going in here. We've got this baffle board or separator here, and that stops 15-inch bass driver interfering, upsetting the full range drive unit. It may not need to be that big, but previously I just did a full width thing like that. Could be ideal to mount the crossover on actually, but it's a bit tight when you've got the 15-inch in on underneath like that. Keep it tidy, hide it away. It may well go, I don't know, but on this occasion it's going to go in here, and I've marked and pre-drilled some holes to fix the crossover in there, noting that there's a fixing hole here for the 15-inch unit, and you need to be able to gain access to do that up. So I've left taking that into consideration. So I'm just going to whip these in here. You can use an electric drill if you like, but I don't know whether I covered this bit. I'll just show you this. I have some jelly feet on here, and that just raises the height so that you're not actually crimping these zip ties onto the chassis. So I'll just do these up. A nice firm torque. Doesn't have to be, you don't have to graunch it up. All a bit boring, all a bit DIY. I suppose some people take interest in all this. Just an idea, you can mount this on a separate, this crossover on a separate board, or as mentioned earlier, on a separate PCB. Lovely. Just double check. We don't want any vibration to get to there, although we're defeating the object really by putting it right next to a 15-inch drive unit. Okay, so we've got a 15-inch drive unit, eminence, that goes in there like that. Just let the screws out. I'm just going to align it by eye, because I've already done an alignment process. In effect, I've already done a dummy run to make sure it all goes together. So, for my holes, I've all been pre-drilled and dry fit. So now I can get my screwdriver, just go round, you don't have to graunch them up, it's just a nice snug fit. And a little tweak. I'll carry on and do this and I'll come back in a second. So I'm just doing up the last one with my long reach screwdriver in between the components on the crossover. Right, nice and firmly, snugly fitted. Spin this round and show you this. If we can see that, if it's showing up. Yeah, let's zoom in a bit. So I have a little L bracket with some binding posts fixed to it, which I've screwed to this leg, and I'm just going to hardwire flying leads from the positive into here, the negative to there, and then the base comes out of here into here. I just happen to know that that's a positive and that's a negative, I believe. I think that's the way around. And we'll wire up this to the 4-range driver up here. So I'll carry on and do that, and I'll be back in a minute. Although what I want to show you, let's get this in position just a tad. There we go. There's a bit on the crook, but right. There's this here. This is our 4-range driver, so you can go in any way you like, but I think it's going to go in that way. I've stuck the gasket, a bit dusty. I've stuck the gasket on here. Let's put it in that way. Offer up. I don't know whether this is going to be in focus or if it's going to play a bugger about a bit, but there's one. It would be better if I let it down, wouldn't it, actually? But whilst I'm here, hold it up. It's quite important that you get these holes, pilot holes, aligned squarely and central to this baffle plate, if you like, to this speaker chassis, so you're not actually twisting, you're not actually going at an angle, if you understand what I mean. It's absolutely, I'm driving this in, as you can see, it's absolutely square. There we go, it's square to the chassis of the speaker, just like that. Otherwise, any twist, you might get some odd results. And all I'm doing, I'm just literally just twiddling that with my thumb and forefinger, just as a little nip. So all I'm doing, I'm looking down through the side and I'm making sure that those two lips on the gasket are just seating on the front of the baffle board, and no more. That's it. We don't want to grunch it up. And you can look round and make sure just by eye that the gap all the way round is the same. I mean, you can get a tape measure out if you like. I'm not going to bother. But and you've got this, which I'm sure somebody will come along and tell us what that's for. But I haven't read up about it. But I think it's to stop a bit of baffle step. or diffraction off the edge of the drive unit. But I'm not going to go into that here. 15-inch drive unit's lovely. That's in. I'm going to go and do some wiring up. So I'm just soldering in some wires, a red and a blue. Red is obviously positive. I'm trying to work around a camera here. This is rather difficult, but just to give you some idea, I've stripped this back. This is not special wire. There's a whole discussion about what hookup wire, speaker wire you should or shouldn't use. I've used a medium grade nickel plated copper wire here, which I use on all my builds. Like that. And one thing I would advise is twist these little belters together. So a nice little bit of twirly twirly. It's going to come down something like that to there. And then we'll terminate those off. So I'll just chop these off here now, about like that, and about like that. So that's that bit done. We're going to, in effect, hardwire the base unit. So I'm just going to double check which one's which. I'm sure this is the positive and this is the negative, but it doesn't actually say. Bear with me and I'll just double check. Positive is on the right, so the negative is on the left. Blue is negative, so I'm going to come off here. Just fold that round. And we're going to whack a jollop of, excuse me, I'm going to put a bit of solder on here, hardwired directly to the terminal. You can use spades if you want. I've got spades, but I don't want to on this occasion. This is going to be permanent and a good solid fix. Doesn't like that, does it? I should have tinned these before. I thought they were tinned. But, bear with me. Don't like that at all. Maybe around the back. That's better. See it flooding now. There we go. Smashing. So there's a negative. So that can also go down to here. Yep. Just going to chop that off there. I'm going to use some red wire, orange wire now, because that's what's next on my agenda. I've got more orange than anything else. same scenario. What I'm going to do this time, I'm going to tin the end of the wire before we actually attack the drive unit with it. So you can't quite see that on camera, but I'm just tinning the wire. I'm going to tin this as well. That might need cleaning up a bit. It's not taking, is it, at all? Let's try this side. Get some flux on there. There you go. That needed some heat. I'm going to bend that around like that. Lovely. So now what I'm going to do to finish it off, bear with me. Add a bit of red. Like that. Shrink wrap. Get a bit of blue. That goes on there like that. Then we're going to twist these together. Lovely, lovely, lovely. Like that. I'm just going to tin this. Get on this one. Tin this positive lead. There we go. Nicely tinned. Whack a bit of solder on there. I'm going to go straight in. I don't know whether you can see this. That's going to go onto there. Yeah, lovely. Probably doing this a bit quick, but for video purposes, but just giving you an idea for those that have never done it before. Tin the end of that piece of wire. Lovely. Nice solid joint on there. Apply the heat, wait for it all to flood. There you go. That's not coming off in a million years. Neither is that. That's nice and tidy. That could be a bit shorter actually. Shall I make it a bit shorter? Nah, that's fine. I suppose I could tuck it in there. Yes, I'm going to. Nice little, perfect. Look. Apply a bit of hot air. cables and wires everywhere. Excuse the noise. Sounds nice and neat. I'm going to move the camera a bit, I'll be back. So just solder the lead, there's a little hole on these spades, just solder it through, and I don't know whether this will focus. You'll drop all over the floor. Then this will just push on there like that. Job done. But before I do that, I'm going to put a little sleeve over there just to tidy it up, make it look pucker and professional. There we go, with the heat. Can't go anywhere. I'll do the same with the negative line, and I'll be back shortly. So there it is, finished on the bench. Cosmetically it's not, but it's quite neat and tidy. I'll just spin it round. Bear with me. I could put a bit of foam in. So there will be a bit of Velcro on the inside of that, inside of this lip here, and that will just fit in there flush with our baffle hole, like that. It's almost quite presentable, isn't it? So I'm then going to do some electrical testing. Be back shortly. So a bit of electrical testing. Obviously you've seen one of these quickly go together in about 45 minutes. There's now a pair of them. Electrical testing commencing.
Che grande tentazione la mia vanità mi fa dimenticare che son solo un uomo e che non c'è futuro senza verità. Come un bambino i miei sogni nella realtà voglio vivere senza dubbi e frustrazioni, forse domani io non ci sarò. Sta vita che se ne va, aspettammo in fondo a sto mare senza guardare. Gira attorno, non ci pensa quanto costano le libertà.
So thanks for watching, thanks for your interest, hope it was entertaining. There probably will be a third video where I want to go and take these and compare them up against, in actual fact, the guy that's going to end up with these. He has Shahanian obelisks, and in initial testing and listening quite some time ago, well over a year ago now, before lockdown, these were substantially better, or in his opinion and in mine as well, substantially better than the Shahanians. And the Shahanians are something like £6,500–7,000 or something like that. I don't know what the figure is. Ridiculous amount of money for a wooden box, in my opinion. And as stated, these can be built for well under 500 UK pounds, and you end up with a very, very nice sounding speaker. So there's another video at a later date we'll probably fit in, but it won't happen until after the lockdown and the COVID situation, whenever that will be later in the year. So I look forward to that. I must thank all the new subscribers. Thank you very much for all your interest. I hope it was of interest and you may have learnt something. You can't cover absolutely everything in these semi-detailed builds. It just takes far, far too long. I mean, you spend twice as long doing the video than you do doing the build and then the editing. But I thank all those subscribers. Please make comments whichever way you go. If I don't want to answer any abusive comments, I won't. And probably I'm hoping somebody will say, oh, you should have done this, you should have done that. But that's the way I've done it from Martin King's original design. And I'm not going to bat on too much longer. Laverda, the implementer, thank you very much. I look forward to doing the next video. I don't know what it's going to be. It might be a trio or a three-way version of this, so we might stick a tweeter in the front. But we'll see. Many thanks indeed. Bye for now. Keep safe.